Soniqs is a team that many people look to as one of the best strategically. This SI they need to win versus M&M to get a better group stage seeding so they could get a first round bye. Although they didn't win the map, they pulled out something which I consider pretty innovative. Before I get to the fun part, let's talk about how their normal map clear goes and execute. Generally, they take from the west side of the map with 2 Logi Hatch, 1 Jacuzzi, 1 joining on the roof, and paired with Ayana pushing stock for pressure for red, secret, garage, and bar. This is generally considered a pretty standard west clear, even if Soniqs are less efficient than other teams, typically leaving less than a minute and 10 seconds on the clock to set up for their execute. It's so bad, in fact, that in neither of the rounds they played attacking Arsenal did they pressure Dirt, Blue, or even Moto. So with that being said, let's take a look at how those executes went for them.
No habit of stopping Shaiko. He tries to step into a fight. There's another drone rolling past. They have 8 able to be used. Shaiko does take the top off and the header Rexon gets removed. They're all stacked round. It's 20 seconds and the drop is coming into the pit. There's a cold kit. Shaiko gets Geo in the drop and the motion. Gunner, he's got it back up, but with that in his foot, he cannot plant immediately. The impact should have the impact. Half for Gunner's health. The rest is Shaiko and Brede. And now the final player is found. To extend too far down. The second breach and break. We're looking at a big limitation in terms of time here once again for Soniqs. They're going to see if they can try and put pressure onto the pipes wall. They're going for the drop aggressively in. Grix around onto the back line, buy themselves some space, and Shaiko buys one more body onto blue. There's Shaiko with one more. Can he get the third? He can! Shaiko, backed up by EFAC, gets it across the board. Kansan's in the sight, but Alems is there too!
Well, evidently, not well. So what do you do then? You know the team you play against will expect minimal map control due to poor time management, so how do you execute with them knowing this? The answer is quite simple in Soniqs' case. Just plant without dropping. This sounds kind of ridiculous, but the way they do it actually makes a lot of sense. It starts with opening the Moto hatch to make Moto itself unplayable. Then, Gutter opens the pillar wall, and then with 25 seconds left, he and Citizen go down main stairs and get ready to plant. Geo smokes out the line of sight for missiles in box 1 and holds from the hatch. Citizen throws a nade into church, and Rexon drops the secret hatch. All the while, Grixer and Geo are holding from the kitchen hatch, and Gunner goes to plant. Now, that's a lot of information, and it sounds like there can be a lot of flaws in this. Aren't Buck and Abana in pretty compromisable positions with minimal chance of refrags? Wouldn't it be better for Soniqs to just drop the kitchen hatch and just look for gunfights? Well, generally it's worth agreeing on that. But usually still had a toxic babe in pocket to deny the plant, so it's not exactly an easy job to send more players down. So the solution of having Gunner plant on the pillar works really well because there's a low likelihood of pressure from Moto because it is relatively common for an attacker to play that hatch while there's plant going down. And even if so, Citizen can likely react quick enough to deny their walk-up. Church can't directly fight main because it is soft needed by Citizen, and those two factors allow Citizen to hold a long hallway, which is one of the ways Gunner can die. While Citizen is a very talented player, it isn't exactly fair to assume he can win 2 to 3 1v1 gunfights, especially with multiple points of contact. So having Rexon drop the secret hatch is a very smart sacrifice play which distracts the defender in blue, and possibly the defender dummies or Church from fighting Citizen, main hallway, and then also Gunner who's planning. And finally, that leaves the AK and Dirt player, who are potential threats. With those angles smoked off, and the vertical cover, it is very unlikely that Tyrant or Nello could actually make a play for it. Well, the plant is down, but isn't Soniqs still in a really bad position here? I mean, after all, a 2v3 with no actual presence below isn't exactly ideal. I would argue not. The situation is still mostly attacker favored. For starters, the vert worked for main stairs, and the likelihood of a drone being there makes retaking main a very unappealing option at this stage of the round. But let's just say for the sake of the argument, the defenders choose to double retake with one playing below. In that case, Citizen and Grixer can both just drop the hatch, and take the 2v1 on the player left below, and play horizontally to make sure the plant isn't denied. After all, that's practically how the plant went down in the first place. If they aren't contested, or there's only one retaking, the round will also end up the way it did in the case of this round versus M&M, where the one covering and the one defusing can't do all that much because there are just so many angles to fight at once. This creates a really interesting dilemma for the defenders, who also don't really see this plant as often, which means that IGL has to make a split-second gut instinct decision and pray it's right. Well, that's the end of the video. I personally have been enjoying the group stage thus far, despite SSG's sudden weakness, but I hope you learned something in this video, and maybe you will possibly try this next time you play Clubhouse. See you all at SI.